something that I thought was pretty cool. Um, and it's getting to the point where I'm doing so many things that I go in my head, oh, I should record this and put it on YouTube. A, for, the community, of course, but also for myself. So if I have to remember how I did it, I hate documenting. I hate writing up things that I feel like you're spending so much time doing, and who's really going to read it, and it's a pain to read and whatnot. Uh, but I like doing things, and so I may as well just turn on the record button and do it again, just so I can see how it takes, what's involved, and whatnot. So I'm gonna try to explain what I'm doing as I go through. I may forget certain things. I may just run through it. This video is more about showing the power and ways that you can abuse, of course, my favorite chew toy, HaloPSA. Um, One of my favorite chew toys, I should say. Another one is Roost. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna talk through a scenario and why I did it. Now I'm gonna be in a demo instance, of course. I'm gonna be in my MSP Advisors demo instance. So I'm gonna have to set a few things up from scratch that didn't exist. And so hopefully you'll get to see um, exactly uh, what I'll be doing, um, and why, and maybe I don't know, you'll learn from that. If I don't do a good job of explaining certain things, then you'll be able to watch it being set up from scratch. So hopefully that'll help. Okay, so here's a scenario. I'm doing an opportunity, for example, and I want to go through my opportunity flow. Let's just say it's an existing client. Now I want to let's just build it out real quick. Let's say new managed services request. I want Huntress, MSP services, and phones. And also, if my typing is bad, I'm very tired right now. So let's see how well this works out. And access control system. Now, so all these things are basically a combination, right? So one of the biggest problems that exist within a service desk in general is what happens when a client creates one ticket and it's a list of 10 things. What do? Do you make 10 different tickets? Do you work them all in one? How do you break it out? Do we hold up closing the ticket when we've closed 5 of those 10 and the other 5 are still open? Like, do we spin it? How do we manage this? What's the process, right? So defining this process, it's not that it's difficult to do, it's just so unknown, and most service desks don't have a well-defined process on what to do with that. We have the same exact situation when we're dealing with an opportunity. A client calls in and they're asking for 10 things or whatever. And so, or a potential client calls in, they're asking for 10 new things. Do we make 10 sales orders? Or we process them differently? Do we have different types of contracts we need them to sign, or different addendums, or how does that work? So in this case, we're going to say we've got 5 things that we're asking for, I think, or so. And so what do we choose here? Is it new managed service? These options don't really work at this point, right? Now, if I choose one, I can choose more stuff, right? If I choose new managed service, I can define what it is. If I could do a site survey and so on and so forth. If I choose hardware, I don't have to do that. Training, I don't have to do that, but I do have to choose the number of employees that need to be trained. And upsell, also, there's not much here, right? So um, the Halo as a ticketing system allows you to build dynamic forms and questions that will collect information up front so that we can make sure that we're delivering the right service and providing the right things. In this case, it's a new managed service, Huntress, phone, access control. Who knows what the right answers are here? Maybe this should really be a multi-select field so we can choose all the various ones that are going to be used. And let's just keep going. But that's not the point of what I want to show today, okay? Just keep in mind the option is there for us to do something like that. Okay, so in our standard flow, what we would normally have in a brand new trial is that we would go through a process where we would design an opportunity around, or design a quote around the opportunity. And so instead of coming here, normally we would just qualify, hit save or whatever, and then we'd raise a quote, right? This is the old style of the workflow. Now we go through this process where we, after qualification of some kind, we prepare, we scope the project, and then we prepare the quote and so on. So in this case, assuming we've got a different set of terms for each service that we're selecting, Huntress, MSP service, phones, and access control, right? how do we get those terms onto the agreement? So there's a couple ways that we can do this. And we're going to do it piecemeal so we can show you how the whole picture is built slowly, I guess. And it kind of helps draw it all together. So let's see this. Let's do the following. First, we need to have addendums of some kind. So I'm just going to hit up ChatGPT and I'm just going to ask it to write a fake addendum to a standard MSP MSA that will provide annual coverage or agreement for managed phone services, let's say. Okay. And so now it's going to write me something, hopefully. So here's a sample addendum to standard MSP MSA that's going to be used for managed services, managed phone services. We're going to go here. And the first thing that we're going to do is, since this is the old style, we need to start adding in some information here that doesn't exist in this instance. So we're going to go to custom fields, and we're just going to start creating some opportunity stuff under custom fields. And we don't have too many opportunity fields. We don't have like a statement of work or executive summary or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start making some things, and we're just going to prefix them with opportunity. Quick tip when building custom fields, always try to keep them organized with a prefix. The name can be, I'm not going to say however long you want because they're going to be column names and you shouldn't make them too long, but you don't have to make them short or prefixed or coded or anything like that. So I like combining contexts together to design the name. And that way, if I ever want to find all of these fields, I can just search for the first half or first part of the name, and they all show up, and it's very easy to add them into other places. So I'm going to do opportunity because it's used for opportunities, and I'm going to say scoping because it's going to be scoping essentially, or yeah, scoping. We'll say opportunity scope, and this will be project summary. Okay, and we'll just say this will be the executive summary, and maybe I should rename this part to executive summary, just to keep it the same thing. This is going to be rich. Everything that we're going to do is going to be rich. And I'm just going to always make sure we copy value to all tickets. Let me do this real quick. We're just going to, we need to create a new tab here. So we're just going to go to add, and I'm just going to say this will be let's say it's executive summary. And in the executive summary, we're going to have, let's say it's scope 2. Okay. So in here, we'll have, I'm going to add another one. And this time we'll say terms and conditions. And this will be 3. Save. All right. And so now we basically have terms, conditions. We've got executive summary. Executive summary can contain a few things. So let's do this. And I'm just going to scroll back up and copy this. I don't remember if I lost my clipboard or not. And then we're going to save this field, and we're going to keep going. Okay, so we're going to come up here. Now I can search for opportunity scope, right? And so I've got my one field. I'm going to create another one. I'm going to paste this. We're going to remove executive summary, and we're going to say something like client testimony or whatever. And so we'll say client testimonial. If I can spell that correctly, who knows? And then we are coming down here. We're just going to copy value. It'd be really nice if I can just clone fields, but you can't. This will go into the executive summary. Oh, we're going to do that again. Type too fast, and I hit enter when I made a mistake. Okay, we're going to go executive summary, and then we now have 2 fields here, and I'm going to go and continue making my other fields that we're going to need. In this case, it's going to be, bring that back. We'll say MSA terms, and this will be master services agreement. Okay. And we're going to mark that down as rich, and we are going to keep going. Copy value, copy value, copy value. This will go into terms and conditions, and we will save that. And then finally, we're going to do our last one, which is going to be any addendums, terms addendums. And we will say addendums to terms and conditions. And we can make that a rich field. Did I make the other one a rich field? I don't remember. I'll have to go back and check. Copy value, and this will go into terms, and we will save that. And the answer to my question is yes, I've made all 4 rich. Okay, perfect. So we're going to shortcut some of the things here. I'm not going to bother recreating all the convoluted steps that Halo's trial out of the box, sandbox, whatever that you get today has, because I don't need to showcase what I'm trying to do. I'm just going to simplify it to a single action, or maybe we'll do 2 actions. I'm not sure, but let's do the following. Let's go to sales. We're going to go to actions, and we're just going to build an action where we're going to say something like scope project, let's say. Right, and this will say scope project and project defined. There we go. And then, or maybe we can say scoped. I'm always bad at keeping up with these names and ideas of what to call them. I'm gonna set this to 10. This is gonna be the first or closer to the beginning button that we want to do. And maybe if we have like I mean, anchor is kind of good. I think that's what they use out of the box. I don't know. Maybe we can find something more specific to what we're doing here. I don't know. What's good for scoping? Like a magnifying glass? That would be awesome. Cloud code. Sure, we'll do code. All right. And we're going to say this is a green. I'm colorblind, so if that's not green, someone tell me on the comments, please. And we're going to hide it. We're going to hide it when it's not in a workflow. And we're just going to go to, we can mark this to be in progress for right now. And I completely failed at that again because, of course, the enter key still works even if you typed an invalid value. And we're going to go here and we're just going to add in the 2 fields that we're doing. So opportunity, we want the executive summary and we want the client's testimonial, and we are going to save. Right. And then maybe we also want a statement of work. Like, what is the work that we're actually doing? Right. So maybe we should make another new field. So we'll come here and we'll go to our custom fields. And we're going to say we want opportunity, scope, statement of work, right? And the statement of work is just going to be the checklist items of things that are guaranteed to be done. Like what is it that we're going to be delivering, right? What are the deliverables of the project essentially? And we're going to make sure we copy the values, and we're going to sit that in the executive summary as part of the overall overview of the project, okay? And we're going to come back here and we're just going to add that last statement of work in here real quick. So, holy crap, what is going on? I did mention I was tired, right? Okay, statement of work. So when we talk about these terms, what is an executive summary versus what is a statement of work, right? An executive summary is supposed to be something that an executive can glance at and spend less than 2 minutes reading and understand exactly the point of the project in terms of what it's trying to accomplish, the reason for its requirement in terms of the justification, and what value or problem is it going to solve? What value is it going to bring, or what problem is it going to solve? Just from that. So it should be no longer than 2 paragraphs, and it should have a clear, concise language that an executive can literally just glance over. The statement of work is a legal document. That's going to be a contract that you're agreeing to commit to the client and say, I am going to complete these following steps. I'm going to make sure that the following deliverables are given to you. 1, your server will be installed. Your data will be hosted on that server. Your whatever that project is, you will be joined in Azure domain, and you will not have any on-premise domain controllers by the time we're done. Your email will be in 365, and so on and so forth. These are deliverables, statement of work, right? Things that you are going to accomplish during the project. Now, that may take a little longer to read. An executive may decide to read it if they want to, but they're doing that knowing that they're going to have to read the technical ins and outs of everything that's going to happen. It's not a step-by-step checklist of things to do. It is a agreement for you to accomplish certain tasks, okay? The executive summary, like I said, is just a summary where an executive reads through it less than 2 minutes or less, and will understand exactly the point of the project, justification for it, and a problem it's going to solve or the value it's going to bring. And with that, he should be able to make that determination if this is worth it or not. Do I need to read more? Yes or no? Yes, I do, because it sounds good and I need to approve and read this legalese now. No, I don't, because I'm not approving it. This does not sound like it's worthwhile, right? So The client testimonial is there. It's pretty obvious. That's just an add-on bonus. It's not necessarily included on proposals, but you can, and it looks nice if you have them. So let's go look at we have the action created. Let's go look at our opportunity workflow. And by the way, with the latest version of Halo, we can just click directly on the link of the workflow, and it takes us as a deep link right to the place where we are at. So prior to once we qualify the lead and turn it into a real opportunity, so to speak, we have the option to raise the quote. Before we raise the quote, how about we do this? Let's add it in here. We're going to remove the qualify. We're going to say leave, remain at awaiting qualifications, and we're going to add instead and allow actions for scope project. All right. And we are going to then we're going to move to a new step, which we don't have yet. So we're going to leave it here and we're going to save. And now we're going to set terms or define terms, maybe, whatever you want, right? Define terms. And this is all part of the qualification stage, more or less. And here we're going to allow actions where we do another action we haven't done yet. So let's do this real quick. And we're going to say terms, we'll say set terms, right? And so we'll do add terms. And maybe there's like a file or a document or something. File text, perfect. And that will be custom color. We're going to progress the workflow again. So we'll do green. I think this is the same color I chose last time. Again, colorblind person here. So if it's not, let me know. We're not going to change the status. It's already in progress. And let's go to our field list and add in some fields where we go back and paste. And we're going to do let's just control C that again. We want now our MSA and we want our statement of work. Okay. No, we already had a statement of work. We also want our addendums to terms and conditions. And we're going to save that. We're going to save this. And we are now going to set terms. And our set terms will move over to the point where we can waiting proposal, I think, is the next step. Yep. So this will come here. We're going to drag this out a little bit here. We're going to put this here. And we are just going to scope the project and take view directly here. That did not work, I think. So close, and yet so far. Get back in there. There we go. Perfect. And we are now going to save our workflow. All right, so we scoped the project. Now the ticket's over here. We have to just restart this. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to show you how this kind of works slowly. All right, so we got the raise quote button, opportunity loss activity. If I refresh, we're going to be in that same stage, but I can come here and reset my workflow. I'll go to none, and then I'll go back down to opportunity workflow, which will take me back to the beginning. And I have the ability to scope the project. Notice that the green highlight tells me this is what I need to click on in order to progress the workflow. I already qualified it. I just got to scope it. So I'm going to scope the project, and it's going to give me these options to set these things, okay? This is kind of cool, but I don't want to be typing all this stuff up every single time. So how do I make it easy for my people, the engineers, to do this? Well, the client testimonial, I don't want to type up every single time. The executive summary, I may or may not want to type up every time. I may want to add start from a template and then change it. And the statement of work would be the same kind of thing. So what we want to do is we want to rely on something called canned texts, which we can see over here. We only have one canned text right now. Please provide more information. It's not really helpful. This is a service desk one. I'm going to delete that, and let's take a look at our canned texts. So if we go to our tickets canned text, and we're going to come here, we are going to take a look here. So we've got a default group, right? This is not really helpful. We're going to edit our groups, and we're just going to rename this to be service desk. Service desk. Okay, great. And we're going to make some new groups. We'll say sales, and we will make another one we'll call terms. You know what? Maybe we'll just rename this. Instead of sales, we can say SOWs, SOWs, terms, and then we want testimonials. Okay, so now we're going to go to our canned texts, and we are going to create a new canned text. And so this, let's say we've got Well, I already started. Remember, I asked for an addendum before, so I got a little sidetracked. Let me just grab that, and we're going to paste it in here. And we're just going to copy and paste. Right. So obviously, coming from ChatGPT with a dark background, that's not really very cool. I wonder if I can save that. Well, the problem is now it's lost some of the formatting that you may want to happen. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can do stuff to make this like more legalese things, right? So this will be center, and this would be maybe make this a little bigger, but I did 18 before, so I'll do like 14 here, and we'll set this to be bold as well, right? And then this kind of looks more like it's okay, I guess. We can say managed phone services all the way through general should be numbered. And we want to remove, this would be 2, this would be 3, this would be 5, 4, this would be 5, right? And then we can say we want to bold manage phone services. And I'm just recreating the formatting from ChatGPT. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Fees, and then terms and termination, and general. Okay, cool. And we want some bolds here. So we're going to say whereas should be bolded, and whereas again should be bolded, and now therefore should be bolded. There's specific formatting that I don't know if it's required by law, but I know that when I spoke to some lawyers about it, there like needs to be guaranteed that it's visible or something like that. So there's a specific things that you want to have noticed and in bold or whatever. All right, now there's replacement holders here that you can replace or swap out with your company name, right? So you can say or name versus area, which is the client's company name, right? So we can say area here and referred to as client, and then we can come down here and we can replace agent name or something, right? Agent name or something. I don't actually know what the dollar variables are for that, but we can always find that out. And then we've got dollar or name. And now we can restrict this to only be visible to, I'm just going to do myself for right now, but ideally it would be a team, right? So like the team can use it, the sales team can use it and so on. Oh, I need to put a name. So this is going to be the addendum dash managed phone services. Save. Okay. And we want to move the group because I did that group. So it should be going under terms. Great. Now that we've done that, let's go back to what we were originally doing and give me a client's testimonial for my MSP, MSP advisors from a fake company telling me how great my phone services are. All right, and so now we're going to come up here and let's start doing testimonial Acme Corp phone services. And maybe you want to put like the service first and then the client. It's up to you how you do this, but you should have some sort of standardization in your naming because that way it makes it easier for you to do automation stuff and whatnot. All right, so we're going to come back here and we are going to do this. Now, here's the problem. Like no one's really going to read this really long testimonial. Or maybe they will. I don't know. Depends on your clients, I guess. But you can tweak it, get it. You really want just want like 1 or 2 words. You can add an image in here. So if I were to Google a quick image of a smiley thumbs up feedback, I don't know what's going to come back here, but let's just look at images and see if we can grab. There we go. This is perfect. We're going to copy the image and I'm just going to add that in as, oh, come on. You got that. Let's try that again. Let's do it this way instead. And we're just going to, there we go. Just like that. You can make that smaller and save. All right. So now we've got our client testimonial, and the feedback that we got was pretty positive there. So let's go back. And we got a testimonial. We've got our addendum for managed phone services. We need an executive summary of 2 paragraphs explaining the purposes of going to a hosted VoIP phone system provided by MSP advisors. All right, and so now we're just going to create our executive summary. And so we'll do managed phones, executive summary, and that can go into SOWs. And I'm not happy with the way and length of this executive summary. That is way too long, ChatGPT. Come on. Whatever, I'm just going to use it, and we can grab this. But in reality, you'd want like nothing. This is like a sales blurb. And I'm just yelling at ChatGPT now because it just annoyed me that this happened. Okay, so let's come back here and restrict by agent. We'll say Mendy again real quick, and we're just going to save that for right now. Although really, I don't like the length of time of this, and what the content is kind of useless. As an executive summary. All right, so now we're going to come in and we're going to do a statement of work, and I'm just going to build that statement of work myself. So we're going to manage phones, and this will be a statement of work, and that statement of work is going to go into SLWs, and we're going to say something like manage phones install statement of work, and we're going to say first we are going to number 1 configure call flow, and based on your required routing, cool. We are going to add extensions and call queues based on the provided configuration sheet. And we're going to say customer is required to provide a configuration sheet working with or name to ensure that the configuration is accurate. And we can say from your configuration sheet. So basically, here's the thing, like we're going to provide a configuration sheet. So we can even come here and say MSP advisors, we'll do or name, will provide a configuration sheet and work with area to ensure it gets filled out properly. Configure blah blah. Okay, and then we're going to set up devices for the extensions, help area configure and record the voicemails and greetings, and then port numbers going live. Project will be completed once old system is removed from the wall and old accounts are turned off. And that's it, right? So basic statement of work. Now, this may get more detailed, it may get more whatever, but I'm not here to show you technically how to build a statement of work and the various different tasks that you may need to do on the project, depending on type of project, right? I'm just trying to write up an example of a statement of work. So I've got my canned text, one of each, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, well, I want to do my executive summary. So I'm just going to refresh. And by the way, notice that in your address bar up here, you got the URL. I've got my area where I'm at. I'm in opportunities, my main view. I'm looking at the ID number 223-2286 is the ID number of the opportunity, but I have and new action equals over here, right? So it's taking me directly to the action. If you have the action open, assuming that the action is still available within the workflow step that you're on, you can just refresh and it will reload the action with the latest thing. So now I can come in here and say my executive summary. Well, that is going to be under SOWs, and we're just going to choose executive summary. Boom. Right, and that's the executive summary. I'm going to go to client testimonial, and I'm just going to go to SOWs and choose, I'm going to go to testimonials down here and choose that testimonial, and here's my testimonial. And then finally, I'm going to go to statement of work, and I'm just going to go ahead and set my statement of work right here. And we are going to keep going and save. Now that we've done that, I need to set my terms. When project has been scoped, I need to set my terms. Notice that I actually don't have the tabs here. You know why? Because I forgot to do something. We need to go to the ticket type. We're going to open up opportunity, and we just need to add the fields that we did add into this opportunity. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to, I can't paste, right? But it's probably one of these things, opportunity scope. We're just going to copy it again and just paste and click each time because I just want those fields. There's no more fields to add. And I'm just going to save adding all of them in. And then finally, I want to make sure that I'm not asking for this at the time of the new ticket being created, right? I only want it to show up when the ticket details screen visibility and save. And then that was the first one. Let's go to client testimonial and do the same thing here. And let's go to executive summary and do the same thing here. And then let's go to master services agreement, and we will do the same thing there. And then finally, we'll go to statement of work and do the same thing there. Now, in reality, when it's time for you to go live and you're doing this on your system, you probably also want to hide it from end users just in case. For right now, for my purposes, I just don't want to get hung up when I'm creating the ticket, so I'm just hiding it from there only. You may also want to do a field group or whatever, but again, I don't want to get distracted from the main purpose of where I'm nowhere at right now. I still want to get to the point of this cool thing that I ran into and did today, and I want to do it before I forget it, which is the purpose of this video. But if I come back here, refresh this, now we can see I've got tabs. Executive summary shows me what's going on here. And I've got the terms and conditions, which have not been set yet, right? So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add terms, and we're going to come up here and say our terms of a master. Ooh, I don't have a MSA yet. Well, my terms are here, right? Here's my addendum to the MSA. I'm going to come back here and say, now I need an MSA for MSP advisors. Right, and it's gonna make it's not gonna make a real one, obviously, because it's ChatGPT and it doesn't like giving legal advice that can potentially be used. And it can get pretty complex and long, and it doesn't want to get bogged down trying to make it. So we're gonna grab this example templated MSA, and we're going to create it here. So we're just going to say main MSA. This will go under terms, and we are going to grab this text that it created. Your MSA in real life will likely be much longer, significantly longer. And we're going to copy all this, and we're just going to paste it in like that. Now, I'm not going to get bogged down with the numbers and the bolds and whatnot, because again, I just want to get back on track showing you what it is that I did today that's really cool, and how another way that you can abuse Halo when we finally get to it. So I'm going to come here and we're going to say, well, I need my MSA. If I go to terms, it's not here. But if I just refresh this page, what's going to happen? It's going to redo the action again, 54. And then I can come up here and say terms, MSA, and terms, addendum, and we're going to save. All right. And so now I've got my project scoped, I've set my terms, and I can now raise my quote. If I go to executive summary, I've got my executive summary, I've got my terms and conditions, I've got that as well. So let's go raise my quote and let's see what we're doing. So we're going to say new managed services, and we're going to add a bunch of ad hoc items. And we're going to say MSA, or sorry, managed services. And we're just going to say quantity of 10, cost 0, price of 225. And save. That's going to be a monthly thing. We're going to do ad hoc item. And I'm skipping a bunch of stuff because my purpose is not to show you an end-to-end picture, right? Normally, you wouldn't use ad hoc items. Normally, you'd be using recurring items. Normally, on the proposal, template, you'd have it broken out into different things. My goal is to focus on the terms and conditions and the addendums and ways that we can actually restrict that and prevent things from going wrong by without tripping up the process or flow from your sales teams. So after managed services, we also got managed phones, and we're just going to do the same thing. Managed phones, we'll say is 55 per, and we did 10. Oh, that's the wrong. We're going to say it's 55 per price and save that. 0, save that. And we are going to now do another item. Huntress. Oop, this is not, I meant to do ad hoc item, right? Close you out. Let's do ad hoc item. We'll say Huntress. Monthly. Ooh, come on. Oh my gosh. Monthly. There we go. Quantity 10. And we say it's $3 per and save. And then we will go to one other thing, I believe, door access control, right? Door access management or whatever. And we'll say that they've got, let's say they got 2 doors and we're going to charge 125 per door. That is, again, the wrong field. Man, I'm doing well. And we're going to save that. And now we've got our quote created. We've got our client selected. We've got our ticket ID set. Our proposal template is going to be where things happen. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to choose, I'm just going to go with the default template for right now, and I'm just going to save that. Now, here's the thing that happens. If I generate the PDF, what we're going to see is the PDF is going to generate based off information on the quote, and it's going to give me this document that's populated, right? So I've got terms of services, I got proposal. Now, these are not terms that I specified, right? This is, in fact, I probably could have just copied these in place of what I did. But I basically have a page of terms and I've got a proposal summary. It's not really helpful and doesn't do anything with what I just did on the proposal here. How do I go change those terms? I don't really have a good way of doing that here. I can do something with canned text potentially. I can write stuff up in notes, but it's not a great field, right? So the goal is that you don't really want to spend your time writing things or HTML in here or using the canned text option over here, because it's not helpful and there's no way for you to do multiples or whatever. It's not as flexible, right? We just spent all of our time building out this process here for you to grab the executive summary and terms and conditions, and I want to use these fields. So here's how we do it. Number one, and this is not anything earth-shattering yet. We're not even close to that part yet. This is all just a continuation, or really for the first time showing you behind the scenes how Halo gets set up out of the box today. If you were to get a Halo sandbox today, 99% of this work is already done. So let's go to the PDF templates, and we're just going to modify the thing that we did here. So we're going to go into our quotations, and we're going to go to our, let's say, I don't know which one's our default. Who knows? It looks like this. This one's our default. We're just going to clone this, and we're just going to say Mendy YouTube destruction, because I like destroying things. All right. And then we're going to edit this. We're going to go to our pages. We're going to come in here, and I am going to delete everything inside. So I'm going to grab from this body right here all the way to the end of the body, and we're just going to delete it. All right. And now I'm going to do a dollar variable of the terms that we have here. So we're going to do addendums to terms, and we're going to do master service agreement. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click here. And these are the 2 fields that we're going to grab. So I'm going to grab this one first, because that's going to come first. And we're going to say CF. Oop, I don't need to do CF. I'm just going to, come on, dollar that. And then we're going to do BR, and we are going to grab that. Scope terms addendums. Dollar paste. Okay. And then we are going to save this. Save that. And let's see if this, like, what happened. So I'm just going to come here and I'm going to modify my template to be using Mendy YouTube destruction. I'm going to save that and generate a new PDF. Let's see how this works. I don't actually know. I'm waiting. Okay. There we go. So we've got our MSA from the ticket, and then we've got our addendum, which is on here, and it kind of broke across 2 pages. And so maybe we decide, you know what, the addendums and the MSA should be on 2 different pages. So maybe we want to break that out on the template. So we're just going to close this out and we're going to say, we can close you out and we can close you out. We're going to edit you and we're just going to add, we're going to rename this to be primary MSA. And we're going to grab you and we're going to delete you. And we're just going to save that. We're going to make a new page where we will make this addendums. I don't even know how to spell it anymore. I'm lost. I'm just gonna addendum, and we're going to pretend that's how you do it. And we're just gonna replace everything in here with that. And we're just going to save. Now we do want to reorganize this. We want the addendums to come after this. So we're gonna say this is 4. And this is going to be 3. And we're gonna now save. And ideally, we should have that did not work. We're gonna try that one more time. We're gonna make this 4. And we're gonna make this 3. And save. Okay, that worked. And so now we're gonna come back here and just regenerate the PDF. And what should happen is we should now have it split across 2 pages, okay? So we've got our cover page, we've got our MSA, and we have a new page of the addendum for that. And we've got our scope. So far, so good. But where's our executive summary? Where's our information about the quote and everything like that? So we still need to make some more pages. We're going to come back here and we're going to make a new page after the cover page. And we're going to say, this is going to be the executive summary. And we're going to save it. And I'm just going to go modify the page numbers right now, where this becomes 6. This becomes 5. Oop, that's not 5, that's 6. I have to do 5. 5. This becomes no, executive summary has to become 2, essentially. There we go. And then 6, 5, 4, 3. I am way off. Okay. This should be 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, somehow I cannot count. Not only am I colorblind, apparently I'm also mathematically uninclined. Save. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save that, and hopefully our numbers stick. We've got cover page, executive summary, primary MSA, addendums, and quote details. Perfect. Some people like putting the quote details up front, but again, you can just reorganize this however you want. That's not really the point of what I'm doing here. Let's go to the executive summary, and let's just replace the body with the content of what we're trying to do. I'm gonna grab everything after here and keep scrolling, everything after that, and we're just gonna put in our client testimonial and our executive summary and statement of work, right? So we've got a few things we need to add in here. Statement of work, executive summary, and client testimonial. So we're just going to open up all that. Statement of work comes last. Some people, you may want to put the statement of work at the very end as like part of the signature page. Here we're just going to do $CF, and then I'm just going to do a line break, and then we're going to go ahead and do $customer testimonial. And we're going to close that and close this one and paste, right? And then just save this page. And then finally, we'll do one last one. That'll be 6. And this is going to be statement of work. Statement of work. Okay. And our statement of work will be this. And we're just going to delete everything in between, body to say that. And we are going to save and save. Okay, and now we've got a nice long document, and let's see how it looks. Let's go here and generate PDF. All right, we're getting close. I wonder what time it is. How long have I been doing this for? We've got our cover page, and we've got our MSA. Oh, we've got our executive summary, right? We've got our client testimonial with the image. We've got our master services agreement. We have our addendum to the MSA. We've got our details of the quote. And finally, we have our SOW, all right? Now, in order for this to work, we potentially say, well, that's great. You now have everything done on your PDF template, but you added Huntress, you added managed services, you've added door access management. Where are those statement of works, right? Where's those executive summaries? So I'm not going to build out the executive summaries because, as we saw, ChatGPT doesn't really do a great job creating them, and I don't really have the brain power to sit down and do that on camera. um, but what I will do is let's see if we can expand our statement of work with a few more can texts. So let's go to our can text. We don't need this anymore. We're gonna go, we don't need this anymore probably. Here's our can text. And let's just add a couple more statement of works here. So let's do a new one, and this will be managed services, statement of work, and that'll go to SOWs, and it's going to be managed services support statement of work. And we're going to say first, we will analyze your environment and understand the design and infrastructure. Okay, and we're going to document your systems. We are going to record important and critical business functions and assets. We're going to track. Another way to say record or document important and critical people and contact information. All right, and then we are going to deploy our agents for management and say enable monitoring using our world-class yada yada thing monitoring platform to catch for proactive blah blah blah, right? And then we are going to then review information from our deployment and compile a list of recommendations to bring you to the gold standard for MSP advisors, right? And this is basically a statement of work that's going to be used for, and again, we're going to search by agent and CMND, but it's basically going to be statement of work that can be used for managed services. And then we're going to go here and we're going to do two more. What am I doing? Huntress. Let's say Huntress deployment, SOW, and this is also pretty easy. It's just going to be Huntress statement of work, and that's just deploy Huntress, set up alerting and alerting channels and escalation routes, configure policies, and set up reporting. And we're done, right? That's basically more or less it for Huntress. All right. We maybe decide to like keep project open for 15 days after to handle any the initial scan and any findings, right? So most of the time you deploy something like Huntress, after you deploy it the first time and it's never been really well managed, you may end up with a lot of alerts in the beginning that you need to tone down, so to speak, right? So now we've got statement of works for Huntress, for managed phones, for managed services, and I need door access control. So let's just do that as well. And say we'll say physical security, or it'll just door access control. Statement of work, and that'll go to SOW and say door access control. Statement of work. Okay, and let's say we are going to replace existing access control system with new one, enroll employee key cards, key fobs, whatever, and maintain document system setup and access as well as security privileges for ongoing maintenance. And that's basically it, more or less. Disclaimer, I've never done access control like everything else I've done for the most part. Never done access control in my life, so I have no idea if that's really what you would do. But either way, again, the point isn't the technical side of it. The point is to show you what we do next. So I've got my terms and conditions here, and I've got my executive summary here. Now I kind of want to redo this because there are certain things that I want to do. First of all, where's my statement of work? Oh, it's down here, right? So if I click into it, notice I don't have the option to add canned text from here, right? It's just a inconsistency, one of those inconsistencies that we love in Halo, that I can create a canned text from a selection, but I can't add from the canned text into this area. So I really need to restart this workflow. So let's just, we know how to do that. We're going to come here, set this to none, and we're going to go back and reset it back to Opportunity Workflow. And now we're back into our buttons where we can scope the project and we can start creating stuff. So let's assume everything was wiped out. Control A, remove. Okay. Executive summary, we're going to come in here and say, where was this? Terms, SOWs, executive summary. Boom. And then we can go to, wait, we're missing a bunch of SOWs, aren't we? I probably just haven't refreshed it. So let's do that. Let's refresh. Yeah, and that didn't save. So let's remove all this. And let's see if our statement of works are here. There we go. All right, so statement of work that we have, we're going to do our executive summary. In our client testimonial, we're going to do our client testimonial. And then finally, in our statement of work, we're going to do something a little bit different. We have multiple things that are added onto this project. So we can come in here and say, well, they want managed services. So let's do that. Okay. Now they also want phones. So let's do phones as well. Managed phone statement of work. And now I've got managed phones and managed services, right? And we're like, well, they also want Huntress, and they also want door access control. And so now we've just built piecemeal the statement of work for everything in the right sections. Now, notice that it goes backwards, right? So if you want managed services on first, and you want door access control last, we can come in here and say, well, going in order, we got door access control. Next, we're going to do their phones. So we'll do managed phone statement of work, and then we're going to do Huntress, and we're going to do their managed services, right? Because we got to get our managed services rolled out, then we'll roll out Huntress, then we'll take over their phones, and then we'll do their door access physical security, right? So we're just building it backwards because the cursor stays in the beginning, and the next canned text gets added where the cursor is, right? If these things are too small for you to work out of, just hit this button, and boom, you've got a full screen document that you can write up. And now we can go ahead and save, and then it'll take us to our add terms, which are still here. I'm not going to touch them because they're already existing and they're fine. And now we're going to go back to our quote that's already linked to it. And I'm just going to generate a new PDF at this point, because this should take it from the fresh fields that we just updated. And we should now have a statement of work that's significantly longer and covers all the various areas. We've got our NSA, we've got our addendum, we've got our services, and we have our statement of works. All four of them are now here. Okay. Everything up until this point is pretty standard Halo. This is fine. This is not a problem, right? Nothing we're doing is crazy. And this is basically just behind the scenes how Halo's set up out of the box for you right now. More or less. There's some like hinkiness with how Halo's doing it with their trial. Hopefully they stopped it. I don't know. Morgan, if you're watching this and I call you out on it, you can email me and tell me if you removed it from the trial. I don't know. I don't remember if it's still in there or not. But essentially, like, there's no reason why you can't just change what they do, which is ridiculous, to just using the canned texts. It's perfectly fine. You got your templates, and you just build out your stuff just like that. And you can have a fully functional proposal process workflow. Okay? All that's great. Now, let's make life complicated for us because we live in complexity, and it's fun. I don't want the sales engineer to change terms on once it's been set. Okay. So if I come in here and I go to my terms and conditions, I can just click in and start making changes. I can click in here, I can start making changes. And this is not good, right? Because like we just set up what the terms are. It went to the PDF. That's a signed copy. And these are going to pass to the project. They're going to be they're going to be kept on record here. And technically speaking, I just go regenerate a PDF and now I have a signed copy with different terms that were not right. So I don't want that to happen. So what do? this is also pretty basic. This is pretty simple. Under the ticket type, we can just go into the fields that are relevant. So in this case, addendums, we're going to go edit this field. And we're just going to say there's two options here. We're just going to say, guess what? You can read it, or we can restrict reading as well if you want. We're just going to restrict the modification though. I may care who reads it or doesn't read it. I definitely care who can modify it. And I'm going to say no one can modify it whatsoever. I'm going to save that. And then we're going to find the next one, which was the scope MSA terms. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing here by saying restrict based on role, save, and save. And now if I go back to my ticket and I refresh my ticket, and I go to terms and conditions, I can't click into here. It is now read only. I cannot control this. I just noticed that the addendum is at the end and the is in the beginning, and really the master services agreement should be first. So just for my own sanity's sake, I'm going to reorder this. This is going to go up here. Executive summary will go above client testimonial. Statement of work can go above executive summary because it's easier. Once you've built your statement of work, it's very easy to get the executive summary out because it's just a summarization of what you've just done, basically. And then we can go ahead and save that. Now we can come back here and just refresh, and we should be able to see those fields are now reordered. Terms and conditions, MSA is first, addendum is second, executive summary, statement of work is first, executive summary here. And we may have the same kind of requirements where you don't want to change these afterwards, right? So I'm going to go back to, we're going to close this PDF. I'm going to go back here, and I'm just going to make the same changes to all the other fields really quickly. If I can find out where I'm at. Okay, so the top two we already did. Let's go to statement of work, and let's just say restrict based on role for modify, and we'll go to the next one, and we'll scroll down and restrict based on role, and save. Now notice I'm not specifying a role. I don't have to. I only need to specify a role if I want someone to be able to change it. And then it can be based off a condition of like an approval happening or not. Okay, so this is all done. We can now check back here and we can see that these fields are read only. I can't change them once they've been set, which is really how we want it to work. Okay. With that in mind, we can say, great, now that we can't change it, but I still have the ability to reset this workflow. Really, I should just build an undo action, but I'm just going to reset it again and go back to opportunity. And I can scope project, and now I can change it in here. And I can change this stuff. And maybe this stuff is fine to change because we are going to be building it out with, the canned text options and whatnot. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and save this. But the terms, wait a second. This is legal stuff. I don't want to be able to change this at all, right? So I want to use the MSA on the PDF template, but I don't want to be able to change it. Or at the very least, if I am changing it, I want to make sure it's going through legal's approval of some kind, right? So here's what we can do for that. When we have a field like this, there's two things, right? So clients will often ask for changes to your MSA, or maybe I should say diligent clients will often ask for changes to your MSA. And because of that, these things the top part may need to be changed. The bottom part may not need to be changed. But let's just worry about the top part first, right? Because I think I just minimized all my screens. That was fun. Let's bring it back. Okay, I don't know what you saw when that happened. But let's keep going. If I can, because it looks like it's all broken. Let's refresh. Come on, don't do this to me. Halo did not like that at all. All right, guys, hold on one second. I'm just going to, I have an idea. Let me just grab this ticket link, open it in a new tab, and I'm just going to reshare a new tab out once it loads properly. Okay, we're going to come here, do new share, and I'm just going to choose this one, I believe. Ta-da! Okay, got my browser back. Close this out. Come back over here. and so on. All right, so now we can see my screen again without a problem. We were talking about like we don't want to be able to edit these things, but we do want to be able to edit, potentially want to be able to edit this, but we don't want to be able to edit this. So this is super easy. Let's just jump into the action real quick. We're gonna go to the workflow and we're gonna edit this. We're gonna edit the set terms or the add terms button. And we're gonna say this is just a read-only field. Save, save. Okay. And save that and save this. All right. Now, the problem is that if I do this, let's refresh. And I add terms, this is now read-only, right? So this is good. But how do I build it in the first place, right? Like this is the problem. If it's a read-only field and it's not set, how am I building it out? So this is where things started to come into play. But what we did, or what I did, is let's do the following. We're now going to be switching in, like, I've been talking for a while. I can tell I need water. But you guys need to take a deep breath, take a step back, because we're about to dive into something that's completely different from what we were just talking about. That's your breath. Okay. So we have the fields here that are read-only. We have this field that we need to be able to set, but we don't want them to be able to change. How are we going to do this? Well, we know that the content of these fields is made up out of something called canned texts, right? So let's go to canned text and let's take a look at what we have. We've got terms. I'm just going to filter by group for a moment. We've got 2 terms and the addendum is what we want. Let's make a new canned text group and we're just going to add addendum terms. Okay, and we're just going to move the canned texts for the terms for the addendum into the addendum group. All right. Okay. Now, there are ways that we can give an agent or someone using Halo options. We know this because we saw this in the beginning of the opportunity. Remember, I said keep in mind about this whole form situation because we're going to come back to it. We can create a custom field, and that custom field can provide options. Let's go take a look at what those things can do for us. We're going to go into our custom objects, and we're going to take a look at our custom fields that we can do. So we know that we have the option to do choices. So we know this is going to be single selection or multi-selection, right? Addendums can be multiple, more than one potentially. So let's do multiple selection, and let's see what are our options here. So we can do a static list. It's not really helpful to us. We can also do a dynamic list from SQL. All right, you're going to have to give me a second because I do need some water. I'm going to pause the recording and I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. What were we talking about? I don't remember. It's been so long. Okay, so we have the option of doing dynamic SQL, all right? Dynamic list through a SQL database, and we can connect to the Halo database, and we can connect to another database or something like that. This means that theoretically, if we can find a way to get the canned text data out of the database, we can use a custom field to present those canned text to the agent while they're working in Halo. So let's go take a look at the reporting center because that is the easiest way to start running SQL inside of the database. And let's actually just look at the all-in repository and see if we've got anything that mentions canned text. We don't. Okay. Not to worry. Let's go look to see if we've got a schema report, which we do. We've got the community database schema, which I love to use. And we're just going to come here and I'm just going to look for filtering for something that says canned text, right? Oh, there we go. Canned text merging, canned text usage. Pretty straightforward. Let's look at that report and see we've got CT text, we've got agent ID, team ID, CT HTML. Ooh, that's probably something that we can use. Group ID, okay, and description and CT ID. All right, let's go take a look. So if we go back to our root report and new, we can just go to SQL and just run select star from canned text, right? So this is how I basically reverse engineer. Like, it's very commonly known that Halo's database is not well documented, and it's potentially very overwhelming. I guess is the word, intimidating, because there's so many database tables and so many fields and whatnot. So if we look at here, we have 3 canned texts. Oh no, we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, so this is actually pretty, this is it. These are our canned texts. How do we get the canned text specifically for the addendum that we're doing, right? So we can either go by name, because we see the names here. But we can also go by group ID if we know what group it is. So if we find, group ID right here. So let's see, what is the group that we're looking for? Well, it's got to be 4, right? Let's find out. So let's do where CT group ID equals 4. And we only really care about CTID and CT-HTML, right? So like those are the 2 things we care about. Maybe CT description, right? So CT disc and CT-HTML. What is a CT? Well, in the database, most of the time, the columns will be prefixed by abbreviation of the table name. So CT stands for canned text, ID is the ID column, DESC is the description, HTML is the raw HTML, and that's really what we want, because whenever we do something from behind the scenes, we want to use the raw HTML to be able to get it in there. Okay, so now we've got addendum managed phone services, but the question is, are we really doing group 4? Is that really accurate? How do we know? Well, we know the way this works, the way we figure this out is by using the standard, typical critical thinking troubleshooting skills that we would do when we're trying to figure out something that's broken and doesn't work and we don't know how it works, right? I have access to the front end, I have access to the back end, sort of, and I'm just going to do something on the front end and see what happens in the back end to try to match it up, right? So it's a guess and check, essentially. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a new, we're going to say test addendum group, and we're going to add this to the addendum group, and we're going to say, hello, can you see me? And I'm going to save this. I don't care about anything else because it's just temporary. Does it now show up in my report? If I refresh, it does. Okay, and so now I know that anything that gets continuously added into the addendum group will be added to this report. This is a good thing. Whenever you design something, we want to make sure you're not locking yourself into a permanent solution that's going to break. Let me repeat that. Whenever you design something that's outside of the native platform or outside of the working system, you want to make sure that you're not designing a temporary solution that's permanent, a permanent solution that's temporary. You don't want to purposely design something to be used that's going to break in the future. You want to make sure you're going with the grain, right? Or something like that. We want to make sure you're doing it around the system, around the platform. So let's say we do something crazy with this and we somehow get a way to stick addendums into a drop-down custom field that works, right? Spoiler alert, we do it and it works. But how do we make sure that in the future, as people either maintain the addendums or B, add more addendums, it'll continuously get added into our system without breaking? The easiest way to do this is to abstract things out in layers and make sure that the process and design is built around the flow and around the way Halo works. So in this case, I've created a group called addendum terms, right? And that means anyone who's going to be adding an addendum to Halo, they're going to see that group and they're just going to add it into that group if they're smart. If they're not smart, you've got another problem where they're just going to be lazy and just choose a default group. But ideally, they're going to be looking, or they'll know that they've used the addendum group, and they're just going to stick it in there, which will automatically fall into your magic, the report, and which will automatically get pushed to the custom field. And so your process doesn't break. And throughout the whole time we do custom integrations or anything like that, you want to make sure you're always repeating that same kind of concepts where you're working with the system and you're not purposely going against it in a way that it's going to break in the future. If we hard code the IDs of the canned text and someone deletes the canned text, you're screwed, right? Someone would have to specifically go to delete the group of canned text, which doesn't happen very often. And most of the time, it wouldn't happen at all. What would happen would be a rename of it, maybe. And because we're using the group ID, that's fine. They can rename it all they want. As long as they don't delete it and make a new one, then it won't break. Okay? So with that being said, let's get back to the point of this. We have a report, and the report shows that we've got two things here. I want to get this body into this thing. But before I do that, I need to give someone options on picking which ones to pick. Okay, I'm picking which addendums to add. So let's read this for a moment. Your script must return two columns, an ID and display. Well, that's easy. We want the ID and we want the display name. We don't want to display the HTML. We want to display the name of the canned text so that they know what to add. So let's go ahead and just remove the CT-HTML and let's see what we got. Well, that looks pretty straightforward. So we're just going to copy this and we're going to go to our configuration. We're just going to paste it in. Let's keep reading. The script must, oh, okay. It needs to return ID and display. Well, we need to now call these. Oops. ID and display. All right. And there we go. Two values succeeded, two values returned. We are going to hold on 1 second. Let's come copy value to child tickets, I guess. And we're going to stick this under the terms and conditions tab and save. We need to set a name. Okay, who remembers our names? There we go, CF opportunity. We're going to remove CF. We don't want that on there. And we're going to remove opportunity scope, term addendum selection. All right. And we're going to say, please choose the addendums to add. Save. All right. We're just going to copy that, jump to our ticket type that we're on. Go to opportunity workflow. We're going to want to stick this inside of the action. So let's go to add terms, edit this, go to edit here, go to field list, edit this, and stick it in here. And we are going to want to make it above here. And we can just delete it from, we don't need it visible on the action at this point. We just want that there and X that and save that. Now we just want to go to our ticket type, essentially. Edit this and go to our field list. And we were going to add it in here as well. Right, and this time we want to keep it there, but we're going to put it above, right? We're going to keep the addendums here because we want to see it. It's going to be on the ticket, but we just want to put the choice above, all right? Okay, so if I go back to my ticket and I refresh, I should now have the option to choose the addendums that I want. And notice that it gets loaded with my canned text options, okay? But nothing really happens with this, right? There's nothing's going on. So how do we populate this field into the actual ticket? Well, this is where things may get a little nuts, all right? Let's go back to our options. Like this is my thought process I was thinking of. Well, we can fire off a trigger to populate a field automatically using database triggers. Let's go take a look at database triggers and see what we can do there. I'm going to leave reports open and we're going to go back out of here. We're just going to look at database, database. I cannot type database triggers. Oh, it's actually database lookups is really what it's called. And it looks like they were disabled. So let's go ahead and turn that on. Okay. And let's go make a new one. We're going to skip this. Let's just see if it's possible. I want to populate a trigger based off of, nope, can't do it. The database lookups cannot be used on a multi-select field. In fact, there's a bunch of fields it can't be used on. It can't be used on text fields, it can't be used on checkboxes. It can only be used on a single select field for the most part. So not really helpful. We can't really do much here with database lookups. We're going to keep this in mind on the back end, though. we may come up with some other creative ways that we can use it. But for right now, it's not really something that we can take advantage of. The next option that we have is, well, what about custom integrations, right? So if we go back to integrations and scroll down here, go to custom integrations, and let's go to custom integrations. We don't have a Halo integration, but we can create one. That's pretty easy. We've done that a few times on video already. So let's go to integrations, Halo API. Let's build our application, and let's call this HaloPSA Custom Integrations. And because it's me and I love security, I'm going to show you my secret on the video, and we will be changing it, so don't worry. I'm going to tie this to my agent for right now, but normally you'd have your own agent, and I'm going to give it all permissions because I love security, right? All right, now I'm going to go here, and I'm going to build my custom integration to HaloPSA. And this will be none, and we're going to say the base URL is HTTPS, and it's just your halodemo.mspadvisors.com/API. It's going to be OAuth 2.0. You don't need to set the header name or the beer prefix. We do need client credentials, and the access token is going to be HTTPS halodemo.mspadvisors.com/auth/token. Our client ID we don't have yet. Our client secret we do have, and we're going to specify all as the scope because that's what we granted it here. Under permissions, we granted all as a scope. And we're going to come back here. We're going to grab our client ID, and we are going to paste it. And then we're going to save. Okay, very simple. How do we know if it's working? Great question. Let's just try it. We know the API has an endpoint for tickets. Let's go ahead and test it. Oh, I need to do a name. Get tickets. Test. Ta-da, status 200. We've got our tickets. 50 tickets returned on the level. All right, great. We know that in order to get tickets, we can use the ticket ID variable. And let's try that. Okay, give me a ticket ID. Well, we know the ticket ID we're working on is, we don't know the ticket ID we're working on, 2286, right? So let's grab that, come in here and try it. And so now we've got the ticket, okay? Inside a ticket body, we know we've got custom fields. All right, so we're getting somewhere. We know we have the custom field that are here. And we've got the CF opportunity type. Can we grab the options, or what did I call it? Selections, right? Not here. What did I call this? Please choose addendums to add. Let's just look for managed phone services or the word addendum and see if it comes in. Control F, addendum. There we go. Sort of. Terms and conditions, label on, okay, not quite. Keep going. Please choose addendums to add. Here we are. Terms and conditions. Let's see if I can read this. I don't think this is the actual field itself. Let's keep going. Here's the addendum document. That's pretty big. Here we go, test addendum group. That's one, and then test addendum managed phone. So this is the value. So this is it. So we've got the label, please choose addendums to add. Summary, there's none, type 3 value. And here we've got the two addendums that we selected. So if I can grab the addendums, maybe I can do something with that. I can grab the addendums and run SQL, and then what? So let's say I've got 4 and 12 are my IDs. Like, what's the best case scenario? If I go back to my report and say where CTID in 4 and 12, right? Or something like that. And load report. Okay, I got the same ones, but I really want the CT HTML, right? Because I want to be able to post it back onto the body of the field. Well, this is kind of helpful, but I mean, it's 2 records, right? So I really want to be able to make it 1 record. Can I do like a string aggregate or something like that? And then I can do, well, it's going to say that I need to do it needs two parameters. So I want to aggregate it with like a BR or something like that, some sort of line break. And we'll just call it CT_HTML again, right? Because I need to put it on there. Nope, it looks like end text is invalid for an argument of a string, right? So I can't combine CT_HTML because it's an end text type. So I can cast it, I can do some really strange stuff, but I feel like it's not really getting me to where I need to be. And potentially, if you have a lot, like you could be blowing up the report now. We don't know like how that's going to happen or how it's going to play out. And then I realized, like, wait a second. I mean, I've done mild abuse like this before of the report writer, where I'm getting raw HTML, but I want it to be displayed as a HTML document. And so this is where magic starts to come into play. I'm going to go to appearance. I'm going to customize table, HTML, and I'm going to say the report table is going to be use report rows to print the actual rows. Okay. And then within the rows, these are the rows. I'm just going to print the name of the column, CT_HTML, without any other HTML listed. And watch this. Boom. I have a document, a single document. Okay. So now I got really, I'm like, wow, I'm getting somewhere. This is like, I can do this. But this part's tricky. Like I'm pulling this from this custom integration to grab just the ID here and the ID here, combine them together, and then sticking them in like a separated way that I can reference inside a SQL to do like what I just did. It doesn't work. I can do it in Roost, no problem. But I can't do that in the custom integration module here because I can't manipulate or massage or work with data in any way, shape, or form. So I almost got stumped for a moment, and then I'm like, wait a second, what am I even doing? I'm inside the reporting module, which is run SQL. These values are inside of SQL. I can probably pull these values out somewhere from the ticket, right? I know I have the ticket. So let's just pull up a new report for a moment. And this is my thought process. Remember, I'm just thinking through how I went through this so that it's documented and you guys can either learn from it or just laugh at my stupidity. Either way, I'm going to select star from faults where fault ID equals. And we know we have the ticket number here, it's 2286. Now let's take a look. All right, so we've got the ticket number details. We know that custom fields are added as columns to the table. So I can just do CF to find it. And then it was something like opportunity scope. Look at these custom fields. These are what I'm looking for. Terms, something. I'm gonna say terms HTML, plain, addendums. Addendum selection, look at that. We're gonna grab this real quick. I'm just gonna copy this and say we want to select that field. Oop. And here we go. We've got a list of addendums that we have selected from the ticket. And so I'm starting to like see the picture come together, but how do I get this to do what I'm looking for? Because I still can't search the canned text, but these are the names. I can go by name, right? And I'm not too worried about the names changing because this is pulling up the name real time from the system. So the name has to be the same. But I don't have, like, this is a combined string. This does not help me. I don't have a way, like I need to break this out. So of course I went to ChatGPT and I said, give me a way to split up my SQL. You know, in a way that can be used for splitting the values up by comma into different rows. Because I can do, imagine we do something like this. I can do select CT_HTML from canned text where CT disk in. But if I try this, it's going to fail because this is a single string that's being returned, right? So this doesn't help me. So I'm going to back out of here and I'm just going to do this again. And what I need to do is I need to split this up into a way that it's actually two separate strings, okay? And that way it's seen as an array of strings. In order to do that, ChatGPT gave me this, right? So our table is false. We're gonna cut that and paste it. Our column name is this, comma is comma as S, and we need to remove where fault ID equals 2286. And we're just gonna delete all that stuff and preview report. Okay, well that kind of didn't work the way I wanted it to. Oh, I added an extra 2, I think. There we go. And now we've got our split list of things that we're looking for, like by split value. So we're gonna take this, we're gonna wrap this around a close and end, and we're gonna say select CT-HTML from can text where CT disk in, and then just boom. Look familiar? I'm going to grab this and I'm going to go back to my report here and I'm just going to replace, come on. Control C, Control V, there we go. I'm going to put it in here and the report loads just fine. Okay, so I've basically now turned this into a report that I can pull. All I have to do is pass a ticket ID and then I can grab the relevant can text selected. Okay, so the next step is how do I actually get this into the custom integration? Well, I've done a video on this too. If we pull up network tools and if we jump over to, let's dock it over here so you can see it with me. Yeah, let's split this out. We're going to split this. Actually, I think I can just flip over to the network tab to hide. Yeah, perfect. Now I'm going to go to preview the report and I'm just going to refresh it. Notice that I have the API payload that's being used. All right, so the things that matter are the SQL. The load report only is true. And I've done a video on this already, so you can go look at that if you want. And then the other things that matter, because I'm specifically using it to grab the HTML, is the report table HTML and the report table row HTML. And if you notice the preview comes back, there's a report value, and inside there's a single string of table HTML, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We're almost near the end. We're gonna go back to our custom integrations, and we're gonna build a new method where it's gonna say, grab addendums selected from opportunity. And we're gonna say, this is a post, right? So if we look at our network thing, network header, this is a post being made, and we're going to the report endpoint. So we're going to do post, and it's going to go to /report, and we're going to do a body, and that body is going to be JSON. We're going to send an array of reports. We're only sending one report, and we're going to send SQL. And that SQL is going to be this SQL that we have here, that we're just going to flatten out into a single line if we can. Go back there. And like that. I don't really care about the spaces. I just care that it's one line. And then we're going to go back in here. Come on. And I'm going to paste it in here, right? And so now we've got our SQL. And then we need our load report to be a load report only or something like that, I think, to be true. And we need our other values that we had. So let's go take a look at them. Go to payload, expand this. We've got load report only. Yep, that's correct. And we've got our SQL, which is right. So now we just need to grab our report table row and our report table HTML. I'm just going to copy it directly out of here, and I'm just going to paste it in. So we can come here, close that up, put a comma at the end, wrap you in quotes, new line, close that up, and get rid of that. And so now we've got our report table rows. The only thing we don't have is our 2286 variable, which is fine. We're going to leave this in here for right now. We're just going to test it and see if it works. We got a 201. And we've got invalid SQL statement with incorrect syntax near fault ID base link. Okay, so it doesn't like this as where. That's not a real thing. Let's try this now. Nope, still broken. What did I do here? Oh, as S. I removed the line. Okay, as S, where fault ID equals invalid JSON body. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I added. How'd that happen? Okay, test. There we go. Now we have a report. All right, and if you notice, the report's coming back under the report section. And we've got loaded trues, we've got the rows, but below that, we also have table HTML. So we're going to copy this. Click OK, and we're going to create an output variable. Our output variable is going to say table HTML. It's going to be a string. And we're going to do response report table HTML and exclamation marks so that we clear up the string. And now I'm going to take this 2286 and I'm just going to replace it with ticket D, just like we did earlier. We're going to save. Now I come in here and I hit the test button and I do 2286 and hit save. And now I've got my table HTML. Okay. So what the heck did I just do? Hopefully you've been watching and haven't fallen asleep and you know what I did. But basically, the report writer, the report endpoint, the report writer is a templating engine of sorts. It's not a very dynamic one. It's limited into the dynamic functions, there we go, of the report templating engine is limited to the values of SQL and what it is set to. But you have the ability to template out an HTML document using the report because you have the appearance option here. We can customize the table HTML to appear however you want. In fact, I use this to design a whole new function inside of Halo at an earlier time. I don't remember if I did a video on this or not, but it's now a function available inside. If we go to like Rising Tide training, for example, and log in, you have a side dashboard showing you pinned tickets that you have pinned to the side based off of what you're following, right? This was something I created using the exact same function. It's just a report with custom HTML on the appearance that's then put inside of a dashboard and then pinned to the side using the side dashboard function. I created this process and I sent it over to Halo to show them what I did. And then they asked me if they can add it into their platform as part of the sandbox trials. And I said, yeah, because of course I don't mind. I like having the whole purpose of why I do this is to share with the community. So it's the same exact function, like the ability to dynamically show colors. In fact, I in my version, I actually have, and I think in this one too, I have the colors that are dynamic based off the status of the ticket. So if I were to jump into this ticket, for example, and just change the status to something else, let's say qualified, for example. So now I jump into my side dashboard and you can see that the colors changed, right? So the color of the status changes dynamically based off of the value from the SQL. So there is a dynamic part to the templating engine that's based completely off the SQL values. So I'm using that, I'm abusing that to create this document for me that is now currently broken. So I can't show it to you again, but I'm doing that to create this document for me that I can then take and post it back out to the ticket, right? So how do I actually do that, right? I'm only like partly done here. I haven't actually showed you the full finished thing. So what we want to do is we want to come up here and we want to go look at our custom field opportunity for the addendums, which is this one. And we want to grab the ID, which is ID 196. Okay, let's go back to our configuration and we're going to look into our custom configurations. We're going to go into our runbooks and we're going to make a runbook here. populate addendum field, right? So we're going to keep this enabled. We're going to run it based off of something started inside of Halo, and we're going to tie it to an event. We're going to come back to that later. The first thing that we want to do is we want to take this and say, we're going to take this and say, we want to make sure that the ticket actually exists. We want to make sure that we're not just running it without ticket information. So that may be an issue later on, but for now, we're going to skip that first condition and we're just going to say pull HTML for addendums. And we're going to use this to do an action where the action is execute integration method. And we're going to say grab addendums. So the ticket ID variable is going to automatically pass through from the ticket ID when it gets called. We're going to move to a new step for each one of these, right? This one we're going to end as a failed process. We're just going to end the workflow. We're going to mark it as a success, so it doesn't retry too many times, though it's going to do it anyways. But for right now, we're just going to end that as a success. And then here, we're going to, once we have it, we're going to come back here and we're going to say update ticket with addendums. And this is going to be an action, and it's going to be a Halo API action where we're going to update the ticket. Ticket ID gets populated automatically, right? And notice my table HTML variables here. I'm going to grab these two and pull it out. And we're going to instead put in custom fields. And we're going to do an array. Inside the array, we're going to have a JSON object. The ID of the object is 190. Anyone remember? 196, right? Let's go back here. 196. And then our value is going to be the table underscore HTML exclamation mark because it's a string with potentially JSON values we need to escape. And also, by the way, we need to put the whole entire thing inside of a string. Right? So because this is a string, it needs to be inside of a string. If it's just an integer, it can just be alone. These are standard JSON formatting rules, so you can go look those up if you need to. And then upon this, if it fails, we're going to move back to step 3, which is failed. And if it's successful, we're going to move to a new step. And we're going to save. And then we're just going to come up here and end this because we're basically done. We're going to say successful, and this is going to end, and this is going to success, and we're going to save that. All right, now we're just going to save it. And now we've got our populate addendum field. Now the only thing left we have to do is to tie it to an action and make sure it gets run. So the way we can do that is we can come up here and add an event to action when action added to ticket by agent. And the action is going to be set terms, okay? And we can also put some criteria if we want to, where we can say, what do we call it? We called it term selection. Please choose the selection is not equal to save. I guess we can't do this because I'm looking for is not empty, and is not empty is not an option. So we can just skip this part for right now. But we can build in conditions into the flow and do things like that where we can make sure that the flow only runs when it has an option to. If you're not careful with that, it could potentially run when it's blank, and then it won't work the way you expect it to. All right. So let's talk about this for a moment. We're going to come in here. We've got 2 things set. I'm going to clear both of these. We're going to start over. Right? I can't really clear this document, but we can see that there's nothing. We don't have the second one on here. So we know that this is set from before. I'm going to restart the workflow. Actually, I don't have to restart the workflow, but I'm at the add terms part. So I'm just going to refresh this ticket. And if we go to terms and conditions, we can see that these values are not set, right? And we can go to add terms at this point. So I can modify my MSA stuff. I'm not going to talk about how we can restrict this using conditional values and approval process. It's a whole separate video, and it's way less interesting, at least to me. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose both options here, test addendum group and addendum master. You know what? I'm just going to choose the test addendum group, right? So we should really replace the whole document with just one line that's going to say hello. All right. And we're now going to go ahead and save this action. The action is saved, and that should fire off the runbook. If we come here and look at our log, we can see one finished, ended on the successful action. We can see that the request data came in, and we got the results on the response, which is just, hello, can you see me? right? And now if we go look at here, we can see that we added hello, can you see me inside of that document. And now we got a 201 response. If we go back to the ticket that we were in and just refresh it, I don't even know if we have to refresh it. Hello, can you see me? And so now I've modified the addendums based off of a dynamically created custom field of can texts. This was a long video. I'm getting tired. Let's do this one more time and just show you what it looks like when we choose both options. Opportunity workflow. And let's go through our scope real quick. We're going to go ahead and scope that out and save. Okay, scope is fine. That's easy. That's available to be set by the engineer. That's normal. We're going to add the terms. I can't choose the addendums. Those are impossible. Those are going to be read-only completely. I can't modify them. I can choose them. I'm going to choose both in this case. And imagine that we solved for this, whatever, and I'm going to hit save. Now, if I go to terms and conditions and refresh, and sorry, terms and conditions, and just scroll down, I've got my addendum and hello, can you see me? I'm just taking a moment to take that all in because that went a lot smoother than I thought it would, doing that for the second time ever live on video. I know this is long. We kind of went through the background. We added some things in order to make this work that is out of the box already in your Halo. And then we heavily abused the reporting templating engine to create an HTML document, essentially, that we then post back onto the ticket. And the key is, like, we didn't even show you this part. If we go back to the quote, right? The quote's still here. If we generate a new PDF, it should just pull those values off of that file, off of that field. So if I go down to the addendums, we have hello, can you see me? Anyways, that's all I got for you tonight. I'm gonna create a playlist, HaloPSA, how to abusing HaloPSA, and this video is gonna go into that playlist, as well as a couple other videos, and I've got some more that are coming, different tricks and tips that you may want to use because they're cool and they work well using advanced API functions, or you may not want to use because you feel like they're too advanced and potentially will break when Halo does something. My opinion of this is I do like to think outside the box. I do like to think creatively and do stuff like that, as long as I'm not doing something that's going against Halo's basic design. I'm using runbooks and custom integrations, and I'm doing one method and one runbook with two actions. One of those actions is updating the ticket. A lot of their core functionality now with Azure AI and OpenAI is being done inside of runbooks and custom integrations. Like, that really can't break. The integration API endpoint that I'm running is Halo's own API endpoint for their own reporting system that hasn't really changed much since they first came out with it. Who knows how long ago? Like 6 or 7 versions ago or more. And so if they break that, they break a lot more other things too. Like, I'm hooked into so many core functionality of Halo that I'm not using anything that's likely going to break or they're likely going to change anytime soon. So again, for me, it's a judgment case in every situation. If you're doing something custom, should you be doing it? If you feel like you're going against the grain of Halo, and you may not be able to, like, you may not know that yet, but find me on the community and ask me, talk to me about it. I'll tell you blatantly whether or not I think it's a dumb idea. Brutally honest is one of my core values, and I try to stick to it. So if you have an idea you're not sure about, just hit me up, and I'm happy to chat about it with you and see how we can make it work. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your night or day, depending on wherever you are. Thank you, and like and comment and subscribe below.